Mark, good to have you in Singapore. Now, earlier we ran 2 sessions around immersive experience design. Can you share with us how does one balance between event budget and imagination?
Yeah, I think one of the points that we talked on for that was around the emotional mapping. I think putting the journey down on paper so people can see these different touch points to see what really transpires through the event, and then looking at that and sort of seeing, are there holes in this where we can lift it, or can we shift budget from some high level moment over a bit? So for me, obviously with immersive design, the key elements, besides the high level, again, the food and beverage, the product, the people, the spaces that we're working with, I always look at the different layers between it as well. So I talk to things around, the spaces in between when we look at the physical sort of space, but that can include, the foyer spaces, the bathrooms, the hallways, adding touch points and experience along those spaces in between actually lifts the whole thing. So that's one of the small touches. There's a lot of invitations to different types of events for people, and I think it's really hard to garner that kind of attention. So I think you have to have a unique sort of proposition up front to make sure that they have this opportunity to go, okay, this is something I want to learn more about, or there's something in this that I see. They're spoiled for choice on another level where in their day-to-day from, again, in Singapore, just walking around, the opportunities in retail, the immersive experiences that you see in the dining precincts, and the technology and all your entertainment that you're involved with, people are literally surrounded by this experience design is happening everywhere in their lives. So they're spoiled for choice. So I think when it comes down to live events, that's where we need to be lifting our game to make sure that we're bringing all those small touches to make it really, really engaging.
When it comes to experience design, we are talking about emotional mapping, right? Like highs and lows. So more often than not, when we think about emotional high, we think too big sometimes, like production, fireworks, expensive. But what you did earlier as an icebreaker for our session was around Lego. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, okay, so bringing Lego to the front of it was an unexpected moment, I think, for everyone. But what we did is we distributed small serious play packs from Lego, which are 6 bricks. And within the 6 bricks, we asked people to spend 60 seconds, and they had one assignment, and that assignment was to make a duck. And people sort of stuck to it and they got into it, and some of the outcomes I think were really interesting, because at the end of the day there was no 2 ducks really within the groups that were ever the same. It showed that people were using their own creativity and their own output to come up with a design, because there were no instructions to follow, so that was all agency on them. And I think at the end of the day it shows people that, like our business events, there are these different types of bricks, the food and beverage, the venue, the AV. When we start changing those and swapping them around, there's all these other rich sort of outcomes that we can get with the same sort of same products. And then I sort of saying to people, it's like, if we got the opportunity to run that again with them, I think if you trusted your hands and your heart and your mind and you ran that back, I think you'd find you would have more creative output, a different take on everything, and again the results will be bigger. And doing it as a group, you could see people's different interpretations, but it was a lot of fun and a good way to start.
Now, the new Beam leadership video series is about balance, right? Like striking a balance. So with the return of in-person events and business volume and talent crunch, so how do you as an entrepreneur, I would say, strike a balance between the projects that you do without burning yourselves out?
Just on a personal level, again, we look at each of the projects as they come through and, try and ascertain, how much impact that this is going to have. Sometimes we've actually had conversations with some long-standing clients where they have a stretch series of different types of events. We've actually, which seems to go against the grain, is advise them to do less of these, because you're spreading it too thin, and let's just pick up here at the start of the year, and we'll pick up the end of the year, and we'll do these little sprites and touch points with people on a one-on-one. But I know that seems like we're taking away from us, but I think what we're actually doing is improving the 2 major events versus spreading it too thin. So that's one approach that we look at. And then for me, in terms of balance, is finding, on a personal level, like projects where I know that we're adding value to. And what I mean by that is not just, the ideas, but also like driving message of purpose, trying to get people to do things with a point of difference, really looking at sharing different stories, the sustainability angles, and getting sort of really sticky, interesting things into the events. I think that's where we bring a lot to the table for them. And that's where we try and balance about, like, let's just do conferences or let's do experiences.